Hey guys, welcome to Tarot Talks. This is the last episode in this series, and I'm so excited. So this is the World 21, and this card is all about time, constraint, and what is really going on. Like, what energy really rules this existence. And we're not talking about like a god. We're talking about a vibration and an energy that rules this plane of existence. Okay, so please don't get that twisted. Please don't get offended when I talk about Jesus and God being removed from the situation. Okay, so this card's all about the crone. And so we learned that Saturn is actually Cronus through Greek mythology, but you're going to get that male reference in astrology with 10th house that deals with the father. And you're also going to get that with the Greek mythology. So they called Saturn a male. They called him Cronus, and he was the father of time. But the crone and the witch is just so feared. It's ingrained in us to fear that because it's like we're working against time. We don't want our bodies to die. We don't want our bodies to decay and get old. But unfortunately, that is a part of Saturn, and that is an aspect that is we're ruled by that here. There's no denying that. Everything that's born has to die, and that's just how it goes. So Cronus eats his children, and he was actually tricked by his wife and replaced by Zeus when he ate a stone. He ate a stone, and the stone actually had birthed Jupiter. And there is references to that in the electric universe, how this Saturn was like knocked out of its position by Jupiter, which is actually really interesting if you look into it. So we have this mother aspect, another feminine aspect, because in Kabbalah, on the Tree of Life, which I go by, because I just feel like it's very old and it's very ancient, Saturn is Bina. So that is the dark pillar, the dark goddess, the dark mother. She rules harshness, judgment, harsh lessons, constraints. Also when you are like, it's discipline, it's hard work. A lot of things that are associated with Saturn seem unpleasant until you really start to look into the mysteries behind Saturn. So when astrologers think of Saturn, they think of it as the opposer. And it's not like a lucky, vibrant planet. It represents darkness. It represents the unseen. It represents mysteries and that which is unknowable. So that's also associated with the sacred feminine. That's why Isis is constantly veiled, because you will never know the mysteries. When you see Mary, she's constantly covered and veiled. That's where that comes from, that women should be covered up, because it's a nod to the sacred feminine, and that our mysteries should never be revealed to the world. And also that essence of being chaste and chastity, and all of that is linked with the goddess. But I feel like Saturn also tells us to come here and just enjoy and live and to become satisfied. Again, there's that SAT word. We're going to get into that in just a moment. So let's see. Saturn is going to be the adversary. In your astrological charts, it's always going to be the thing that kind of stands in the way of you getting to what you want, but you have to pass through it, and you have to learn its lessons. You have to do things Saturn's way, because if you don't, you're going to end up in like a crazy cycle. If you avoid doing things the way that Saturn needs it to be done, then you're probably never going to reach your goal, and then you're just going to miss your mark. So pay attention to where your Saturn is in your birth chart. Let's see. So Saturn's like the Satan also has a link to Saturn as the opposer. Satan is the tempter, the eater of the cake, the masturbator, the go do it. Don't you want to do it? You want to listen to your desires, and you want to satiate, satiate your desires. Okay, so the link to the opposer and the adversary, and then the etymology of the SAT is all linked to Satan. Okay, if we look at some of the SAT words, we have satisfy, we have Saturday, which on Saturday we are encouraged to drink and lay around and go out and dance and party and have lavish dinners and all of that. So Saturday is for enjoyment, okay? So there is, for the words to start with SAT, there is a tie to a physical feeling that we can only experience in the flesh. It's to satisfy, to satiate. If you think of the word satin, I think it gets its word from how it feels on naked skin. It feels delicious. So it's all about indulging. The words SAT, and where Satan comes from, he's the one that wants you to listen to your desires. Okay, so we have this duality here going on between discipline and desire. And I feel like that's the key here. You're here to live. You're here to experience the world through your five senses, but you can't overindulge. You have to have discipline as well. There has to be a little bit of both. And when you get to that balance of the little bit of both, you get perfect harmony and creation. If you look at like the maiden, the mother, and the crone, the three faces of the goddess, you're going to get the maiden, who is all about playing and living life and having fun. And then on the other end, you have the crone, which is the wisdom of life and, you know, preparing for death and preparing to walk into the darkness. And then in the middle, you have the mother goddess Venus, who is just, she is the one who actually encourages us to enjoy life, art, music, love, and sex, but not in a dark way like Satan. I think Satan kind of wants us to overindulge. Okay, so these are just things to think about. And this isn't, I'm not saying follow this as a life path. I'm just putting the links together for you guys so you can actually chew on it and think about these ideas and think about what this means to you and your beliefs. Okay. Let's see. I have 6 pages of notes here, so I'm just going through them. Okay, so the exoteric book meaning of this is perfect alignment. It's a very good card. It doesn't have any negative connotations. I feel like if it is reversed, you're going to talk about lack of discipline, overindulgence, things like that. But it's the dancer. She is, and dancing is related to complete and utter joy. And it is just a completion card. Like, say if someone got married and had a baby and now they're just loving their life, their motherhood, because this is the thing that they've always wanted. They might get this card. They might also get the sun card. It's just a time of really great fulfillment and actual absolute joy. And this is because this is a transmutation card. So this is the evolution of the soul out of this world into a new world. We're going to get into that too as well in the imagery. Let's see. So Saturn rules this plane of existence. If you're going to go by the tarot, which is what I go by, we're ruled by the energies of Saturn here. And everything must die, but you also are here to live. The reason, it's just simple. The reason we're here is to live and enjoy everything and not go don't go too far down that road of enjoyment, because with too much good also comes bad as well. You can't overindulge. So it's also about the time, okay? So look at that, like the 9 to 5 schedule and the passing of the wheel of the year in the Wiccans, that the Wiccans go by, and also like just like our holiday wheel, which is basically the same thing, our calendar year, we're bound by that. We actually live by that. If you don't, you're like off grid and whatever. Great for you. If you, I always say, like, people who have the luxury to not know what day it is, I really, really like would love to be that type of person, to just live outside of time. That would be amazing. So it's the circle of life. And again, it's like you get that maiden, mother, crone. And it's just the embodiment of the cycle of life, okay? And that's what that is here. That's everything here works on a cycle. So we're bound by the time of Saturn. That's where the time essence comes in. One of the greatest connections that I found through etymology was through the satyr, S-A-T-Y-R. Okay, this is the half man, half goat. Okay, which is when you think of Lucifer or Satan, you're going to think of Baphomet or the Goat Man. I mean, it's just constantly appears on TV, and it comes with the horns, the man with the horns. A lot of times you'll just see the picture of a man with horns, okay? It's a mythical half man, half goat, and I just feel like, what more can you ask for here with this link here? It's in our own words, it's in our own spelling, and it's also in our astrology as well, because Saturn rules Capricorn, which is the goat. And the goat climbs to the top of the mountain, okay? And I think that's a reference to elevating out of this spiritual plane, okay? And that's why they say Capricorns are like very driven, because they have a need to succeed. So that's macrocosm, microcosm work in there, okay? That's the energies, that's the vibrations. So that's what a vibration will give you. So if you're a Capricorn, you have that vibration, but you're also going to have other placements in your astrology chart. You might have a heavy Taurus placement that might make you lazy. You never know. But the vibration of Capricorn is to win, to succeed, and to make that money. They love that money. They're your businessmen of the zodiac. And again, in a lot of media and things like that, you're going to see Lucifer as a businessman. He's like the top lawyer of the firm, or the very successful nightclub owner. Okay? These images have a reason. They're given to you for a reason. And I just feel like it's just like Easter eggs in the game for us to figure out what the fuck's really going on. It's like gives us the key to unlock the secret door, you know? So what this actually means is just like a whole nother kind of rabbit hole video. I wish I can talk about it now, but there's not time in one video to talk about living by Saturn and the goat imagery and all of that. I just think that it'll be a really interesting video to do later on. So Saturn's about being bound to or by a system, okay? It's a very well-designed system. Like, I like to think of this plane as a holographic video game. Like, we are the total essence of light and God, and we're thrown into matter here, and everything's kind of slowed down, but the point is to figure out who we really are and where we came from, and go back and kind of reincarnate out of this form. And I feel like we reincarnate back into this form until we figure it out. It's not just we're working against the clock of one lifetime, we're working against the clock of a couple lifetimes here, because it you know, it takes us a while, because we forget where we came from to figure out who we are and to go back to that, and to live our actual best lives. So Saturn also suggests binding. The rings of Saturn are bound. There's always a binding effort with Saturn. Saturn makes things a little bit difficult in your chart. Again, it's going to be like blockages and things that you have to work through. But once you work through your blockages, you're fucking unstoppable. Again, you're transmuted and you're able to create with ease. Okay, that's why this particular dancer in this, she has two wands. Like, we have the kings and the queens of the tarot, and we also have like the Hierophant and the Empress and Aries the king, but they all have one scepter, and this one has two, because she has, or he or she, this is an androgynous being. this person is able to wield from both sides of power, to wield the power from both sides of themselves, and they're completely balanced. So Satan and Saturn also have that essence of being the punisher and being the person that inflicts pain. But anyone that has gone through heavy spiritual work and spiritual experiences knows that your pain is what needs to be processed to be able to make it into a lighter, more spiritually balanced place. Like pain is a part of the whole process, okay? So it's just like we come here to love, we come here to live, we come here to feel, to eat, to taste, to experience sex and love between another person. And they say in the spiritual community, when in terms of possession, that these spirits that possess people, they're looking for a body because they want to experience the pleasures of the flesh. So we can think of life as a punishment, but we can also think of it as a privilege, because if there are other spirits who for some reason aren't allowed to experience a body legally through birth, through actual birth into this world, then we have to be special. We have to have done something special to be able to be here. So a lot of very spiritually balanced people will tell you that life is a gift. It is something that is awarded to your soul. It's almost like being able to have a passport. You know, some people aren't able to travel, and it's, you know, keeps them stationary, and they want to experience things, and they want to experience the world. I think you could think like that on a bigger scale, on a more spiritual scale. There's beings that aren't allowed to incarnate here, but they're looking to get in here because it's fucking fun sometimes, you know? So if you're in a dark place, like, it's a really good way to think about life, is that you're here for a reason. You're here because you were awarded this life. You're given this period of time, and what are you going to do with it? Don't waste it. Don't waste it. And I really do think that that's the higher message of Saturn, is don't waste your time here. Do something that means something to you. You don't have to change the world. Just do what makes you happy. Follow your heart. Following your heart is the best thing that you can ever do. Even in times of uncertainty, your heart is a very uncertain thing. It's not like your brain. It's not analytical. It can't tell you what's going to happen or calculate a situation. It just tells you to go, and you fucking go. And when you go, and when you make the commitment to follow your heart, you look back and you're like, damn, I did it. I really went against everything that I thought to be logical, and the greatest possible outcome happened. That's what happens when you follow your heart. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so numerology is next. Okay, so the numerology key, it refers to the fool's path through the tarot as the night journey. And this isn't the first time I've read that. Now, you have to watch my videos. In my book recommendation video, I'm talking about the book I use for numerology. I call that the numerology key. It is Numerology, The Key to the Tarot by Sandra Conrad. Okay? If you missed the video. So the night journey is a metaphor for the Dark Mother, for being thrown into matter, which is mater, which is the mother in Latin. Okay? And again, in the spiritual community, when you do research, you learn that being brought into this existence is a spiritual death. So that's why matter and the mother is referred to as darkness, because we're plunged in the darkness because we forget. Okay? It's not an evil thing. We have to start looking at dark and light as equal beings, equal parts of a whole. It's not, one's not better than the other. So being plunged into darkness and being plunged into spiritual death, you can relate that to being in hell and we're being ruled by Satan. Very much. You know, the allegory has the Bible and mythology, it's all the same. It's all a story about something that's a little bit deeper, and you got to dig for it. Okay? So when the feminine is penetrated by light, that is cosmic sex, basically, and it creates a being. It creates us here. One thing that I found really interesting, it gave me like a little click, like, made me think. So, I'm so sorry if I forget the guy that, or the person that commented on my last video about my accent. Yes, I am from Philly. I live in Jersey now. But right now in Philadelphia, there's a ghost ship, and it's on the Delaware River. And how they actually made it happen is they're using the river itself as its medium, right? So we have the essence of light and water here. So they're spraying the water up and making like a canvas of water spray, and they're projecting light onto this water canvas of a ghost ship. And that's how they're making this ghost ship appear on the water. And I think that's really amazing. But I also think that's a great way to think about the holographic universe and what's going on here. When they talk about this as just a hologram, it's a mixture of water and light, which is matter is basically water because it's moldable. And it's being penetrated by light, which is the masculine principle. Okay, so really cool thing to think about there. So this happens when the soul, our soul, or the soul, S-O-L, which is the light of God or the light of existence, is thrust into matter. We get creation, we get visual effects here, things that you could touch, see, and taste and feel. Although holograms, you can't really, you put your hand through them. It's a little bit more complex than that. But in essence, we're all, like, our particles are those little vibrating sprays of water and light being projected onto us. And they say in Chinese face mapping, where they look at your face, they say that your actual face can change once you learn about your face mapping and your traumas and going into working with these people who practice this. Your actual face shape can actually change because they believe that we're a hologram. So the makeup of your light body is changed, so your projection changes, which is actually a really cool thing to think about as well. If you guys haven't looked into that, I have a book. Lillian Pearl Bridges is actually an expert in face mapping. So she has a website, she has books. It's really amazing work. So this is also the sun that dies on the cross when the soul penetrates matter. This is where your story comes from. And again, I really apologize if any of you guys are really religious. I'm not discrediting your God or anything, but you have to think logically and look into these stories, okay? Because just like Greek mythology was a religion at one point, now it's like myth, like it's discounted and it's like, oh, it's just a story. They're telling the same stories as in the Bible. It's one has no more weight than the other. It's all the same story about the gods that die and are reborn again, basically. So if you watched my other videos, when I talk about the symbolism of Earth, it's a circle with a cross in between, in the middle, and it almost looks like when you look through a gun and you're aiming at something. I don't know what that's called when you look through that thing. It's a circle with a cross through it, and that's what Earth is. That's the symbol of Earth, but it's also the symbol for salt in alchemy, which is the body and the earth. Okay, it's all interconnected. So once the soul is thrust into matter, it's on the cross of matter, and the cross of matter is the picture that appears in your birth chart. It's the circle and the cross. So your rules of your game that you're playing here are going to be in your birth chart. Please don't mind my cat. She's singing in the background here. So your birth chart is just going to give you guidelines as to what's going on here. And you can either completely ignore it and completely miss the mark, or you can look at it and find your commonalities with the vibrations that are in place in your birth chart. Let's see. So Numerology 21, it is the I am, which is the one, and the goddess too, accompanied together. So this is where you get the androgyny in this, in the pictures here. So you see the breasts. Again, it's the nod to the female essence of some type of godhood, whatever's going on here. But but the genitals are covered, so there's a mystery there. But everyone that reads will tell you that this is an androgynous being, even though it looks a little more feminine. You can say that it has hair, but it doesn't really have long hair. It's kind of like the angel that we go through life with in the tarot that we talked about, the temperance angel and the one that guides us through the Lover's Six. So there's the androgyny aspect, and it is the perfect balance of male and female wielding powers from both hands, okay, with both wands. We're in the circle of laurels. Whenever you see laurels, laurel crowns, the one that stands out for me is the wands. I think it might be Seven of Wands. It looks like it's a parade. The guy is wearing a crown of laurels. He's being celebrated. Everyone's looking up to him. That's the fame card. But the laurels always represent some type of accreditation or some type of accomplishment or something that people respect, things like that. But you also have resting on your laurels too. You can become, what that means is like you become so much into yourself and so much into your position that you lose yourself. So, and there's the potential to lose yourself by resting on your laurels. But anyway, so we have the lion, the man, the bull, and the eagle accompanying the dancer. But this dancer is inside a portal. So he or she, whatever, is being reborn into a different world now. The old world is left behind. This is a brand new form. We've completely experienced the human experience, and now we're in some type of, we're out of duality, basically. It's you have a body that we're created in the essence of God. So God has some type of body that looks like this. Okay, but they also say God's androgynous. So you've reached that androgyny level, so we're out of duality. We're here to understand the male and female essence. We have to do that while we're here in our time through our cycle of rebirth, recreation, all of that. We have to understand that and get that balanced and get that down before we can receive a body that's androgynous, that can wield the power of both sides. Because you can't do magic if you don't understand it. So you have to understand this shit before you can get the body that can do the shit. So here in the Wheel of Fortune, everything's kind of encompassed in the same world. Like they're riding the same clouds that are in the same sky as this wheel of the year here, okay? But these guys are outside. So there's an essence of being born out of this world. So the dancer is an absolute joy. This is an absolute, once you reach godhood or come back to God, there's, people say when they've merged with the light, it's just like the most, you're just brought to tears. It's just the most joyful, magical feeling that one can ever have. Let's see what else we have here. We have the counterpart of the Empress 3, because 21, 2 plus 1 equals 3. And again, we have that focus on the canal, the big V, Venus. Venus rules that third card. It's the Empress. And again, it's the nod to the goddess, to the more female essence, to the whole. And you're seeing the whole because she's coming through the whole, okay, in this imagery here. But the Empress 3 is all about the passing through the birth canal and bringing things through into a new dimension. But the Empress rules matter. So this is this dimension. The dancer is being brought into some other dimension. So it's that canal and that vaginal portal there. So another exoteric meaning for me, if I was reading this card, other than joy, happiness, completion, success, it's also the reinvention of the self. So if you get this in a reading, it just depends on what's around it. And it might be a great time, or there might be a lot of synchronicities in your life that are kind of pointing you towards a reinvention of self. Maybe like you just need to lose some weight and change your body to change your life, go move to another city and reinvent yourself. This also could be for people who are transitioning from one gender to another. So it really depends on what is accompanied in the action cards around, which would be the minor arcana as the action cards. So We're going to go into house rulership. Saturn rules the 10th house, which is the house of work. So you also have that sense of being bound by our work here, because we're here to do some type of work that is, we're here to enjoy, but we're also here to work. So there's that balance thing again. If you work too hard, you're going to miss out on joy and you're going to go down a dark path. If you play too hard, you're going to end up becoming an alcoholic, a sex addict, or food addiction, all of those things. And that takes you down a dark path. So you have to master the balance, okay? So the 10th house of work. Pay attention to what is in your 10th house and try to resonate with the energies of what's in your 10th house, because that's the work that you're supposed to do while you're here. It will bring your spirit harmony. It may be hard, it may be rough, but if you follow that path, you're going to get through some of the things that you need to get through in this life. And so you can get to the next level in the next life. Like, we're not just here not doing shit. We're not just here for no reason. Like, we're here to complete things, to complete tasks, and to make things happen. And your birth chart's going to tell you what those things are. So Saturn rules Capricorn, which again is the goat. So you have that Saturn, Satan reference. But you also have the beginning of the zodiac too. When you're born in Aries, again, you have a goat. So what is the deal with the goat? Again, the goat is made to climb mountains and scale very steep surfaces. And the goat overcomes. The goat escalates and keeps going higher and higher and reaches that mountain of success. So we're trying to get to that peak. That's what the reference of the goat is. And in a lot of alphabets and things like that, right in the beginning, you have usually the second letter of the alphabet, or the third letter, is going to represent somebody with horns there, like Urus in the runes. But there's other ones too that I can't actually remember right now, but I know that there's other alphabets that have to do with like horned beings, like in the beginning. It's weird. Maybe I'll get into that later on and do some notes and studying on that and expand on that. So I hope this series has been able to lead you into your own spiritual journey and to some type of truth and enlightenment through the tarot. It's been really, really great for me, like revisiting these things and chewing on these themes again. And I actually have notes now. So, you know, I was able to go back in my books and actually compile ideas and things like that to make you guys these videos, which was really awesome. You know, just revisiting things, it just jogs your memory and kind of really reintegrates things. And I hope you guys continue your process of learning and asking questions and searching for truth and enlightenment. If you continue reading tarot, you will get there. The key to tarot is not to seek money, not to become a reader because you want to make it a career. It's about decoding the mysteries. And I feel like tarot has an energy which it knows whose soul is worthy of revealing these mysteries to. And you could be told, there's a lot of videos giving you this information, but to actually integrate it, you have to be in a certain spiritual place and to let it enlighten you and to integrate it into your being. I'm really excited to do some more videos for you guys, showing you guys how to read these major arcana cards in different situations. I think that's really some interesting content. And again, thank you so much to the people who continue to subscribe and watch these videos. Please comment if you're enjoying them. Again, like I said, it just gives me that extra kind of energy to keep going, and knowing that people are watching and knowing that someone out there is enjoying, even if it's 5 people, it just fuels me to make more videos and to help you guys out more. I really hope that you guys start a conversation soon, and I hope to talk to you guys soon, and I will see you again with the new series very, very soon.